Phillies up 86-83. Steph brings it up, and you got to get on him. Got to pick him up quicker than that.
On these screening rolls. He's too far back with Steph Curry. Look at him. He's back. He's not impacting the ball. He's just giving Steph wide open shots. Look at this.
10 of 17 from the great beyond. Steph goes for 49 on the night.
Yeah, he was in a zone. And this is really kind of the evolution of the game, right? You see the difference. It is much harder to stop a great shooter on the perimeter than even a great Joel Embiid, especially when you don't have the playmaking and the scoring of Simmons and Tobias Harris out there on the floor. But Steph Curry has been in a zone here of late, and I think he's quietly put himself back into the MVP conversation.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
So he followed up his 28th 20-point half of the season with his 29th 20-point half of the season. 11 straight 30-point games. 21st time in his career he's hit at least 10 threes, and the 6th time this season. Here's head coach Steve Kerr, and on his star Steph doing it again tonight.
Steph, 49 points tonight. You made 10 threes, and yet you're upset. Tell me why.
I got poked in the eye and I missed that free throw. I knew I wanted it. It was a gift at the end, but we played our butts off tonight all the way through. Obviously, shorthanded. We know they had some guys missing too, but you know, coming off a tough game in Boston, turn back around and win a game like we did tonight with the start that we had was huge. So everybody contributed. We know how tough Joel is, and it was a fun game for us.
How big does the bucket look to you right now?
If I get some space, you know, it's all confidence. You know, glory to God that I'm healthy, even with the ankle, just to be out here and play. And like I said, it's something I work on, you know, every single day. And you know, when you get in a rhythm like this is when it's, you know, the most fun, because all that work is paying off, and you know, the confidence is earned. And so that is something that I'm proud of.
You mentioned the bad start that the team got off to. You started 0 for 6. Were you thinking, maybe this is going to be that off night that's got to be coming?
Nah, I've started off worse and still felt like the next shot's, you know, going in. And again, all you need is one to go in and then, you know, see the ball go through the net, and that's when, you know, things can get can kind of turn in your favor. So I never doubt, you know, what's next, what, you know, the next shot or anything like that. There's no hesitation. There can't be. There's too many games, too many possessions. You got to stay with it.
You and Draymond, you've been together nine years. It seemed like you two decided to take over the game down the stretch. Just describe the chemistry between you two.
It's developed over, like you said, 9 years, and for us to be in a situation, even with you know, new guys, young guys, we're all developing, trying to build our total team chemistry. But you know, we have our certain pet plays that we don't really need to say anything. We know where to be. You know, he made 2 good finishes in the 4th. You know, set some great screens. You know, throwing Loon in there. You know, battling Joel all night. So. Being in playoff atmospheres and you know, the experience that we've gained over, you know, these amount of years pays off in nights like tonight.
You mentioned the playoffs. What does a win like this against a team like this do for this? What do those things do for this team's confidence as you make that playoff push?
I mean, it's just confidence and understanding how to win close games down the stretch. We're going to have a bunch of those, you know, the rest of the season, most likely to play in a tournament, and hopefully, you know, in a first-round series. So we know we're kind of shorthanded. We don't have a lot of size, but we find ways to scrap and claw, defend, and then use our speed to our advantage. And no matter what the matchup is, even against a powerhouse like Joel, we still figured it out. So just good reps for us to learn how to win a game down the stretch.
Have you ever seen a performance like these stretch of games that Steph is on right now?
Not from a shooting standpoint. You know, I've seen I've seen Kobe Bryant, you know, early in his career had a stretch where he went nuts, and obviously Michael Jordan had some stretches where he just you know, scored like crazy. But obviously nobody's ever shot the ball like this in the history of the game, and even by Steph's own lofty standards, this is above and beyond.
Look out. Look who's number one in the league in scoring after tonight's numbers are in. Steph Curry has overtaken Bradley Beal for the league's scoring lead, and that's after a 30-point night from Beal tonight. More importantly, in Steph's last 6 games, he's averaged just under 44 a game, 5 assists, nearly 57% shooting, and 54 of 98 from three-point range. Those 54 threes, GA, are the most in a 6-game span in NBA history. With a team that, beyond Andrew Wiggins when he's on the floor, doesn't have a ton of great scorers out there. How tough is this, GA, to do for Steph Curry when he's not only number one on the scouting report, like he's above the line on the scouting report, right?
Yeah, he's number 2 and 3. And to your point, Matt, like they only had 2 other guys get to double figures, 16 and 12. And so you're right, he is the focal point. But the reality is this, it's the degree of difficulty. And you heard Steve Kerr talking about it. Some of the shots he hit, there is no defense for. Shots like these are so incredibly difficult. Steph Curry reminds me of how Tiger Woods used to be in golf. He shoots shots in the game that other guys don't even practice. And that's how Tiger Woods was in golf. He would hit shots in a tournament that other tour players wouldn't practice. And that's how incredible Steph is. I mean, his ability to make shots, the degree of difficulty with which he takes shots, the distance with which he makes shots is just incredible. It's mind-boggling to watch. And, you find yourself still in awe, but it's not like we haven't seen this movie before.
Yeah.
I mean, it's amazing. What makes it more amazing, though, is the point you made earlier, the fact that they don't have the same kind of personnel that puts fear in you, that he's got to work even harder to create these opportunities. And it's special to watch what this man has done. And we've said this time and time again, very few people have the opportunity to change the game. And Steph Curry is one of those guys that has changed the way the game of basketball is played.
Klay Thompson makes the spacing so much different when he's out on the floor, and obviously he's not around this season for the Warriors. Put into perspective, if you will, what you're seeing from Steph right now.
Well, just think of it from Steve Kerr perspective. He's seen Steph Curry win 3 NBA championships.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't get better than that. And he's right now floored. He can't believe what he witnessed because it's not just that he's scoring. GA said it, the degree of difficulty in these shots. Look at these shots that he's taking. And then if the defense makes a mistake at all, he capitalized. Tonight, Joel Embiid was back, thinking he could use his length to take up some of that space. But he's too late. Look at that, hand down, man down. And the fact that Philadelphia is depending on the defender coming over the top, but Draymond Green is setting some unbelievable screens that against Steph Curry. Look at these screens. If Joel Embiid is not going to come up, these are free throws. So when you look at Philadelphia defense tonight, they were very helpful in Steph Curry 49 points tonight because Joel Embiid was back. The guards had a tough night getting over those screens, and Draymond Green was setting some lethal screens too. So if you're not going to bring the bigs up, which opens everything up for all the other Warriors players, then this is what's going to happen. Steph Curry is going to drain 10 threes, he's going to shoot 50%, and he's going to score almost 50 points.
And the Sixers just couldn't keep up offensively. They shot under 40%. Granted, they're missing Ben Simmons, missing Tobias Harris from this game as well. But their MVP candidate, Joel Embiid, didn't do themselves any favors down the stretch. And no MVP candidacy comes down to a single game or a single few minutes, but it's safe to say the last 3.5 minutes of this game will not go on his MVP candidacy reel.
Matt, when it's tight, when you're talking about this race is changing every game, game by game. And when you're head-to-head with another guy that's in the race against you, it matters because these reporters are going to look at that, the people who vote. Look at this. This is tonight. Look at Joel Embiid. He has post-up position, but this is what you don't want to do. His teammates are doing a terrible job getting the ball. He gives up that deep post-up position to do what? Take the ball with 4 seconds to go, which is another defender, and look at the shot that he has to take. Just an awful shot for Joel Embiid, who gave up post position. Here he is again at the three-point line. Does a great job getting to his spot, but now, Joel Embiid, you are the biggest man and the bully on the floor. Why are you looking to pass in the paint when you can shoot over Kevin Looney at any time. Again, another bad decision, and he tops it off by not getting back on defense. And here he is again, deep post-up position. But wait a minute. Golden State is trapping. Joel, you got to get rid of the ball before the trap comes. You want to catch the team in the process of trapping, move the ball so you can get it to the corner for a wide open three. So those 3 possessions were indicative of tonight that Joel Embiid had. Golden State did a good job getting him off his spot, and he wasn't patient enough to hold that deep post-up position. He wanted the ball so bad, he started giving it up, and that was the old Joel Embiid that we saw from last year, giving up deep post-up position to float outside for a 3. Stay in the paint, big fella, and when you get in the paint, don't look to pass.
Philadelphia managed just 4 points over the last 3 minutes and 45 seconds. The Warriors finished the game on a 16-5 run. And, you know, again, parts missing GA, but this was part of the issue with the pre-Doc Rivers 76ers was execution at the end of games kind of reared its ugly head again tonight.
Yeah, and to your point, though, those guys they were missing weren't just guys. I mean, you know, when you saw even in that reel that we just showed, a couple times when he'd have position, they couldn't get him the ball. And so then he'd have to go out, and because they didn't have anybody else out on the floor who was comfortable enough to make a play. There were opportunities to be had by his teammates, but they were not comfortable enough, confident enough to make the plays. You saw the overload defensively. They'd go and they basically would zone Embiid with Draymond Green coming over to the strong side, 2.9 in him, and so they didn't have a lot of good opportunities to get him the basketball, and that's where you need other guys to be willing to step up and make a play. And that was a point I made earlier about it's easier to guard Embiid in those situations when he doesn't have the help than it would be Steph, because Steph's 30, 35 feet from the basket. It's harder to help in those situations, but when you're down low, it's a lot easier for me to load to you and provide help, and I think that's something that happened. And they'll look at it and they'll get better. Look, Embiid was not great down the stretch. His team didn't help him down the stretch either, and they'll learn from it. But he's been great all year. I don't think the one game's going to matter. What it's going to matter, though, is it's going to elevate Steph Curry in the eyes of a lot of people, because this was a nationally televised game, and it was an opportunity for him to showcase, especially with what he's been doing, and he delivered in a big way.
Well, it's hard to ignore his performances here lately in a stretch where they've won 5 of 6, and that's a big factor for voters, is are you winning those games when you're putting up the numbers.